This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom-heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at hyperice.com.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
The Two-Footed Podcast is brought to you by EPLindex.com and our presenting sponsor, Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a VPN provider. A virtual privacy network allows you to go online, change your location, access things you're geo-blocked from, while keeping your data safe. So, as an example, if you are a UK expat and want access to BBC iPlayer to watch Match of the Day, or ITV Hub, or all four, but you get that message that says this content is not available in your location, a Liberty Shield VPN gets you around that block, allows you to watch whatever you want on those services while also keeping your data safe. And it goes further than that. It allows you to open up Netflix's entire library by just changing your IP address. Liberty Shield is the #1 rated VPN provider on Trustpilot with 5-star ratings across the board. So go to libertyshield.com right now, use the code EPL25 and get either the hardware package or the software package. The hardware package is a router that you plug into your existing router, and any item you want to change the IP address on, be it your phone or your television, you connect that to the new Liberty Shield router. All other items can remain connected to your existing router. There's also a software package, which is instantly downloadable to your device, and you can get using straight away. Again, libertyshield.com, EPL25 for 25% off at checkout. We're also brought to you by Home of Hopcroft, a giftware and homeware company located in Scotland but shipping worldwide. Check out homeofhopcroft.co.uk and do check out the EPL Index and Anfield Index shops, which you'll find on Etsy. Use the codes EPL10 or RED10 for 10% off at checkout. And lastly, do remember to check out A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. That podcast is on this feed before every Premier League match week. And then the EPL Roundtable, hosted by Kevin DeVries, on its own EPL Roundtable feed. So just search EPL Roundtable in your podcast device. And that's out after every match week. Now, on with the show. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Monday. It is the 4th of March. Hope you're all well. The snow is finally gone. The rain is here, though, so that's just not ideal. And it's cold, and I'm just not enjoying my day weather-wise. However, I did enjoy the weekend. We had a lot of good football played in the Premier League. So we'll jump straight in. Newcastle United 3, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Good performance by the Toon. Took advantage of some counter-attacking situations, took advantage of some lax defending by Wolves and took advantage of a little bit of luck that went their way. They went 1-up on 14 minutes. Alexander Isak. There was both counterattack and luck involved in this. They broke off a Wolves set piece. Anthony Gordon drove forward, picked the right option, which was Gemerish moving up on his left. His shot took a lucky deflection that looped the ball across, and Isak does really well. He's braver than everybody else, gets his head to it, and makes it 1-0. 33 minutes, they're 2-up. It's Jacob Murphy with the dangerous low cross that Jose Sa comes out and just doesn't deal with, gets in a mix-up with his defenders, and Anthony Gordon is on hand to tap home and make it 2. From there, Wolves had some opportunities, and, you know, there was some moments where they looked like they might get themselves back into it. Dubravka made a couple of very, very good saves. And it felt like if Wolves get one back, maybe we get a good ending, but they couldn't find the goal. And on 92 minutes, Tino Livramento made it 3. There's a little bit of luck involved in this one as well. He kind of beats one defender, starts to stumble. Aït-Nouri gets across to make the challenge, but doesn't secure the ball. And Livramento sort of kicks it from between Aït-Nouri's legs and puts it into the bottom corner at a bit of a dribbler. Good win for the Toon. The win they needed. They obviously still have ambitions of European football for next year. And Eddie Howe is managing for his job. Some of these players are managing for their futures because it's an ambitious project at Newcastle. It's a project that they hope will ultimately aim with major silverware. And these players want to be around when that silverware starts to land. So they're currently 8th. They're 2 points behind West Ham, only 4 points behind Manchester United, because United obviously have lost back-to-back games. They're 10 points behind Spurs. I think we can write off them catching Spurs, but getting over United and getting into the Europa League, I think, is very much in play for Newcastle. Next game, then, Tottenham 3, Crystal Palace 1. Yet another really good comeback by Spurs, but they should never have had to come back. They had a number of good chances while the score was 0-0. Timo Werner, I mean, he breaks in. He probably had to carry the ball too far. And I would imagine that by the time he got into the penalty area, he was running out of steam. He tried to go around the goalkeeper. Johnson does really well, and the chance comes to nothing. We had Heung-min Son hit the post. There was a couple of other half chances. But on 59 minutes, Eberechi Eze, with Palace's only shot on target in the entire game, with a simply sensational free kick that gave Vicario no chance. Just a really, really good strike. 77 minutes, it's a disaster from Anderson. Joachim Anderson has the ball over by the corner flag. All he needs to do is put it out of play. Tries to get clever. Brennan Johnson takes it off him. Then Johnson overruns the ball, and you think Jefferson Lerma is just going to come in and deal with it. And somehow Johnson gets through him as well. Squares it over. And Timo Werner with his first goal for Spurs. And frankly, given what he's been through the last few years, I was delighted to see him score. I've always been a Timo Werner fan since his days at Stuttgart. I wanted Liverpool to sign him back in the day. I wanted them to sign him from Leipzig. I maintained that if Klopp had signed him, his career goes a very different way. But great to see him getting on the score sheet. Within 3 minutes, Spurs were ahead. It's a lofted ball by James Maddison, and I'm not sure why Christian Romero is there, but Christian Romero is there, and he gets up and above the Crystal Palace defender to head home and make it 2-1. And then on 88 minutes, Heung-min Son wrapped it all up, and Spurs get the win. And it allows Spurs to keep pace with the teams above them. They're 5 points behind Villa, but they do have a game in hand. That game is against Chelsea. Should they win that, then it's 2 points, and then it's all to play for. Spurs, I think, have been very unfortunate this season with the injuries that they've had, but they're starting to look more fully formed now, and they're starting to look a dangerous team. And they do have an ability, especially at home, to come from behind and get results. So credit to them. I think that was a good showing of character against the Palace team that got ahead, had something to hold on for, new manager bounce, all the rest. And Spurs still managed to find a way. So congrats to them. Moving on, the game that boiled more piss than anything in the history of football. Nottingham Forest 0, Liverpool 1, a Darwin Núñez goal in the 98th minute. Well, 99th minute technically. Lovely ball in by McAllister, lovely header. You know what? I've talked about that game at length on 2 different podcasts today. I don't really want to do it again. Liverpool deserved the win. Forest got what they deserved, which was nothing. And their fan base, frankly, should be ashamed of themselves. They made a decent racket during the game, but 95% of it was negative noise. Booing, jeering, chanting at the ref, chanting at Jurgen Klopp, chanting about poverty, chanting about unemployment. Really shameful Tory stuff. I just don't understand how that mindset can be prevalent in a northern city that was so decimated by Tory policies in the 80s. How is it that here we are 35 years later and you're still doing this? If the Forest fans channeled their energy in a positive way, they'd be one of the best home crowds in the league, without a shadow of a doubt. They'd be one of the best because the volume of noise is impressive. It's an all-ground thing. It's just that so much of it is negative noise. It's not supporting the team. It's disparaging the opposition, disparaging the manager, disparaging the referee, and disparaging poor people, which, you know, Nottingham's got its share of poor people. Higher unemployment than Liverpool, multiple food banks in the city, so clearly an issue with food poverty. You know, there was a donation made to one of the food banks in the city by a group from Liverpool before the game, and yet this is how people react. And then after the game, they embarrassed themselves even more. One particular dickhead deciding to run onto the pitch and try and confront the referee. Heinous, vile things being said towards the officials, towards the Liverpool players. It's not the Liverpool players' fault if you think the referee made a mistake. It just isn't. It just isn't. In the same way, it wasn't the Tottenham players' fault, Orange Postecoglou's fault, when the referees made the single worst error you're going to see made in the VAR era in the game between Liverpool and Tottenham this season. It wasn't the Arsenal players' fault that Martin Odegaard was allowed to play basketball in the Liverpool-Nottingham Forest game. And I've seen some very strange people claim that the game should be replayed. Okay, fine. Let's replay the game. But let's also replay Tottenham versus Liverpool at the Tottenham Stadium and Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield. Let's also replay those games. Up for that? No? Liverpool bad? Can we also please stop giving Mike Dean any credence when he goes on Sky and gives his expert opinion on things? Can we stop pretending that Mike Dean was anything other than a terrible referee who routinely got massive decisions wrong, who routinely had his decisions overturned, who was so bad as a VAR, he got binned off? Mike Dean was a referee in the Premier League for over 20 years. And for over 20 years, he was terrible. Genuinely terrible at his job. There's a reason that the highlight of Mike Dean's refereeing career was refereeing an FA Cup final between Portsmouth and Cardiff. and that for the last 14 years of his refereeing career, he wasn't invited to be involved in any major game. There is a reason for these things. He was dreadful at his job. Liverpool remain top of the league, 1 point clear of City. Arsenal are 5 points back, but obviously play tonight. Liverpool have the favourable run-in. Liverpool City play next week. It's a huge game. It's a huge game. Moving on. Brentford 2, Chelsea 2. Nicholas Jackson misses a 1v1, then scores a really good header on 35 minutes to put Chelsea 1 up. Mads Roerslev equalises on 50 minutes after Caicedo does really well to make a challenge on Reguilon, who's cutting in to shoot. But Chelsea don't react at all, and Roerslev does brilliantly. Johan Wiese put Brentford 2-1 up on 69 minutes with a great bicycle kick after Vitaly Janelt had hit the post. Now, Chelsea did blow a 4-on-1 counter-attacking opportunity because Cole Palmer tried to be too clever. But after Brentford scored the first goal, for probably 25 minutes, they tore Chelsea asunder. Wiese's goal is excellent. Then Reguilon hits the post with a header that could have wrapped things up. But on 83 minutes, Axel Disasi with a powering header off a really good cross by Cole Palmer. This is 2 points drop for Chelsea, though, because they're Chelsea and this was Brentford. And Brentford have been in such terrible form, but this is a great point for Brentford after 3 straight defeats. We move to the next game, which saw Everton face West Ham, which saw Beto miss a good chance, then miss a penalty, then score and put Everton 1 up on 56 minutes with a good header off a James Garner cross. That lead lasted 6 minutes before Kurt Zouma scored with a flicked header from a corner on 62. And then when it looked like Everton had simply just thrown away 2 points, but would still get a point, which would have been a good point, Thomas Souček with an outrageous goal on 91, and then Edson Alvarez finishing off a lovely counter-attacking move that was led by Jared Bowen on 95. Everton, it's just getting a little painful at this point, and there was the predictable meltdown from the Everton fans at full time. I saw a video of an Everton fan calling Sean Dyche, and I quote, a negative twat. Everton had 22 shots in this game, 11 on target, 55% of the ball, and I'm not really sure how that was negative. If anything, Everton played well for large portions of this game and easily could have been a couple of goals up because Beto missed a chance, then he missed a penalty, then he scored, and then Dwight McNeil missed a really good chance as well. Everton could easily have been 4-0 up and cruising, but instead they lose 3-1, and that means that Everton have not won in the league since the 23rd of December. They'd won 4 in a row. After they got the 10-point deduction, they won 4 in a row and now haven't won since. And that has been 10 games, 10 games, 5 draws and 5 defeats. They are very, very fortunate that they had that 4-game winning run. Very, very fortunate, because if not for that, Everton would be in, well, they'd be sitting down with the Burnleys and Sheffield Uniteds of the world. Good win for West Ham, a win they needed. Boost them back up to 7th in the league, only 2 points behind Manchester United. And you have to say, over the balance of the season, they've been better than United. They just had a really bad little run, while United had a good run. But, you know, they've lost less games than United. They've scored more goals than United. Now, they've conceded more, and their goal difference is worse. But I think overall, they have been a better team than United this year. and they've beaten United this year. We move to our next game, which is Fulham 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Brighton, masters of their own demise. Harry Wilson opens the scoring on 21 minutes. Horrendous defending by Adam Webster. Muniz heads it on to Wilson, and it's a great finish from Wilson to make it 1-0. On 32 minutes, it's a Wilson cross. Lewis Dunk falls asleep and seems to just wait for the ball to get to him. Muniz gets in ahead of him and heads home. Fulham had a couple of counter-attacking opportunities where they could have wrapped the game up. Now, I will say, Brighton had some good opportunities in the second half when Anote hit the post. There was a couple of other opportunities where they just... Evan Ferguson missed a good chance. A couple of other chances where they just failed to find the final ball. But then on 91 minutes, Pascal Gross overplaying on the halfway line, gets his pocket picked. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid drives forward, slips in the rampaging Adama Traore, who finishes well and makes it 3. That is not a good result for Brighton, who, look, they're still 9th. And that's still, if they finish 9th, that would be a good achievement. All things considered, they've lost 8 games this season. Only the top 6 have lost less. They've scored 49 goals. Only the top 6 and Newcastle have scored more. But they have conceded 44.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called
The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Survivor 46 is here, and so is On Fire, the only official Survivor podcast, and we have a twist this season. The winner of Survivor 45, Dee Valladares, will be joining us every week.
We're going behind the scenes of the biggest moments, the how and the why things happen, and the strategy and analysis you can only get from someone like me, a Survivor winner.
Listen to On Fire, the official Survivor podcast, wherever you get your podcast.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
Now, that doesn't look dreadful when you see West Ham conceding 47 and Newcastle conceding 45. But then you see, Wolves conceding 43 and Fulham conceding 42 and Everton conceding 37, and they're all below them. They're not as bad defensively as people make them out to be. But when it is bad, it's really, really bad. Like when their defense breaks down and the structure falls apart, they're just an absolute mess. And they're so open to counterattacks when things aren't right at the back. But for Fulham, it's a really good win. It's a really good win. Brings them to within a point of Chelsea. They've won 3 of 4 after a bad run. And Marco Silva continues to do an excellent job at the club. Luton Town 2, Aston Villa 3. This looked like it was going to be an absolute rout. Villa should have been 4-0 up in the first half. Watkins missed a couple of good chances, including one that hit the post. But he did also score 2 goals. The first of which was a close-range header. The second of which is just a really nice finish from the inside left channel, just tucked into the far post. But in the second half, this is what happens with Luton. We've seen this against United. We saw it against Chelsea. We saw it against Arsenal, where they don't perform in the first half. In the second half, they come out and they're absolutely unplayable. And on 66 minutes, it's an Alfie Doughty ball in that just causes chaos in the Villa defence. There's a scramble, and Tahith Chong finishes it off. On 72 minutes, it's a gorgeous cross from Doughty, this time from the left. And Carlton Morris at the back post unmarked. It's a really good finish. And it looked like Luton were going to take a point. But in the 89th minute, it's a gorgeous ball in by Moussa Diaby. And Luca Digne, who can't be much more than 5'8", 5'9", appearing at the back post. Great header, gives Villa the win. Those are our Saturday games. On Sunday, Burnley 0, Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth didn't play well, but did enough to win the game. Justin Kluivert put them 1 up on 13 minutes. Fairly simple ball over the top. Moves on to it, does well to put back inside the first defender, and then finishes really well. And then Antoine Semenyo wrapping it up on 88 minutes. A shot that took a fairly severe deflection and bamboozled the keeper. Neto in goal for Bournemouth. Absolutely man of the match. Made a couple of great saves. One from a Jakob Brun-Larsen free kick was absolutely sensational. And he saved that about an inch before it crossed the line. Absolutely sensational performance from him. Great win for Bournemouth on the road. Brings them up to 31 points. With the game in hand, they're 4 points behind Fulham, 3 ahead of Crystal Palace. Bournemouth will be in the Premier League next season without question. And I look forward to seeing what Areola can build from here. For Burnley, I mean, 13 points from 27 games. It is time to find shame, gentlemen. And finally, talk about finding shame. Manchester City 3, Manchester United 1. Now, United did go in front. Fairly simple ball over the top. Bruno Fernandes does really well to get to it and holds it up and lays it off. Marcus Rashford strides onto it and absolutely buries it. Gives Ederson no chance whatsoever. It is a sensational strike. From there, Marcus Rashford was garbage. He was absolutely awful. But United, as a unit, defended really well. To their credit, they set up with a very clear game plan where they played basically a 4-2-4. But this was the type of 4-2-4 where it's a back four with 2 sitting in front, 2 sitting in front of them, and then 2 wing-backs who are 2 wingers who are basically playing as wing-backs. There was no attacking intent for United, really. Once they got the goal, it became very clear that they were parking the bus. Bruno and McTominay were basically their nominal 9 and 10, and they're obviously both midfielders. Garnacho was playing as the advanced right back, Dalot as the defensive right back, and the same on the left, Rashford as the advanced one, Lindelof as the defensive one. There was a clear aim. Bed in, counter-attack. Bed in, counter-attack. And, you know, for 56 minutes it worked. Now, Erling Haaland did miss, without question, the sitter of the season. Lovely Phil Foden header across goal, and Haaland misses from about 3 foot out. But it was Foden that got City level on 56 minutes. He picks the ball up on the right, cuts in field, and for whatever reason, no United player made any real effort to close the ball down. They're all stood on their heels, and Foden unleashes a wonderful shot that rifles into the top corner and gives Onana absolutely no chance. Now, United had to make a change on 69 minutes, bringing off Johnny Evans, who was playing well and organising that defence. And they brought on Willy Kumbwala, who looks a talent, but isn't going to be organising anything. And the likes of Lindelof and Varane, they need someone telling them where to be. On 75 minutes, they brought off Rashford and brought on Anthony, who was utterly garbage for the remainder of the game. On 78 minutes, United thought they should have had a penalty. I don't know. I really don't know. Ederson crumples Garnacho. I don't know. If it had been given, I don't think you could have had too many complaints. But it wasn't given, and I don't really have too many complaints that it wasn't given. It's just one of them. It was a little bit reckless from Ederson, is the only thing I'd say. On 80 minutes, it's Foden again, and this is another really well-worked goal. Picks the ball up in the left-hand side half space, plays it into the channel for Alvarez to move himself around Casemiro, who then stops. Alvarez turns, plays it back in. Foden strides onto it, one touch out of his feet, and finishes across the goalkeeper. Could the goalkeeper have done better? Yeah, maybe a little bit. On 91 minutes then, it's 3-1 and it's all over. I don't really understand. What's going on here. Casemiro plays Amrabat into trouble, and Amrabat loses the ball because he's not on the pitch all that long, about 9-10 minutes, and he hasn't had much involvement in the game. His touch is just a little bit out, but it's Casemiro's pass that puts him in trouble. Rodri takes it off, and the ball goes through to Haaland. Haaland has so much time in the United box that he can run around the ball to make sure it's on his left foot, and then he slides it into the far corner. 3-1 absolutely warranted. City were definitely the better team. Phil Foden was magnificent. But it felt like United just contributed massively to their own demise with decisions the manager made and with just individual errors, really. But a great win for City, and they stay second. 62 points, 4 ahead of Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal play tonight. For United, they are 6th. Now, that is their 11th loss in 27 league games this season. They also lost in the EFL Cup, so ratcheted up to 12. And then they lost 4 of their 6 games in the Champions League. So that's 16 defeats this year for Manchester United in 38 games. That's pretty embarrassing. Their goal difference in the Premier League is -2. It was -3 in the Champions League. So that's -5 on the season. For the League Cup, they would break even. And for the FA Cup, they're +5. So 38 games into the season, Manchester United have lost 16 games and across all competitions have a goal difference of 0. They have 11 Premier League games left. And should they continue to play the way they have been, they will lose more. They have Everton home next. Then they play Brentford away. Then Chelsea away. Then Liverpool home. Then Bournemouth away. Then Newcastle home. Then Burnley home. Then Palace away. Then Arsenal home. And then Brighton away. I think they'll lose 4 of those games. 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. We'll go with 3 and be kind. In the FA Cup, they've got Liverpool next. At home, but Liverpool look a little bit relentless at the moment, so I wouldn't hold out much hope for United unless Liverpool are forced into heavy rotation. But with an international break coming immediately after that game, I'd imagine Liverpool go fairly strong. Can they finish the year with a positive goal difference? They should do. They should do. Can they keep their defeats for the season below 20? I doubt it. I doubt it. They're not going to win the FA Cup, I don't think, which means they will lose in that competition at one point or another. which would mean they could only afford 2 league losses to get out of the season with only 19 defeats in all competitions. It's not looking good. Not looking good at all. The Premier League table has Liverpool top on 63 points, Manchester City second on 62, and Arsenal third on 58. Now, obviously, Arsenal travel north, play Sheffield United today. Then it is Aston Villa on 55, Tottenham on 50, but with the game in hand. Manchester United on 44, West Ham on 42, Newcastle on 40, Brighton on 39, Wolves on 38, Chelsea on 36, with the game in hand. That game is against Spurs. Fulham on 35, Bournemouth on 31, with the game in hand. That game is home to Luton. Crystal Palace 28, Brentford 26, Everton 25, Forest 24, asterisks beside both of them because they're both potentially facing points deductions. Luton Town on 20, with the game in hand, obviously away to Bournemouth. And then the sad sacks that are Burnley and Sheffield United bringing up the rear, 13 points each. Sheffield United 1 game less played because they play tonight against Arsenal when they get pumped. If they come out of that game and their goals conceded is still below 70, I would take that as a win if I was them. 66 goals conceded in 26 games. It takes a special level of being terrible to do that. Like, you'd have to try fairly hard to concede over 2.5 goals per game over that many games. And should they continue to concede at that level, they will concede about 96 goals, 96.4. So we'll round down to 96. Now, the worst defense last year was Leeds, who conceded 78. The year before, Norwich conceded 84. The year before that, West Brom conceded 76. The year before that, it was Norwich who conceded 75. Congrats to Norwich for being on this illustrious list twice. 18-19, we had Fulham conceding 81 goals. That was particularly special. 17-18, your worst defensive record looks like a tie between Stoke and West Ham, both on 68 goals conceded. And West Ham actually finished 13th. They're the only team to have the worst defensive record in the years we've gone through so far and stay up. So congrats to them for that. 16-17, 80 goals conceded by Hull was the worst. 15-16, 76 by rock bottom Villa. And 14-15, we have a second. Oh, no, sorry, QPR. 73 goals, down they went. So, as you can see, it's very, very difficult to concede even over 70 goals in a Premier League season. To concede over 80 is incredibly rare. To concede 96 is bordering on disgraceful. You'd nearly want to be doing an investigation to see if perhaps some dollar bills landed in some bank accounts. Now, Sheffield United remaining fixtures, again, bear in mind that they're averaging 2.5 goals conceded and have conceded 66. Arsenal, home. Likelihood, heavy defeat. Bournemouth away, multiple goal defeat. Fulham home, potential for a point maybe there. Liverpool away, likelihood, heavy defeat. Chelsea home, well, Chelsea can't score goals, so potentially something to be had there. Brentford away, likelihood is a multi-goal defeat. Burnley home, might be the most pathetic game in the history of the Premier League. Newcastle away, probably a heavy defeat. Nottingham Forest home, another sad sack of a game. Everton away, Very, very much a sad sack of the game. And then Tottenham home, likely a heavy defeat. So you've got 4 games there where I could see them conceding 4 or 5. And if that was to happen, and then they've still got 8 other games to play. They also have to go to Manchester United, by the way, who, as bad as they've been, are capable of scoring a few goals. Like they've shipped 5 at home to Brighton, 5 at home to Villa. Somehow only conceded 2 away to City. They conceded 5 away to Burnley, 5 away to Arsenal, 8 at home to Newcastle. They have, like it's worth remembering, for the first 5 games of the season, they look like they might be competitive. 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace, 2-1 loss to Forest, 2-1 loss at home to City, 2-2 draw with Everton, 2-1 loss to Spurs, and Spurs need a late comeback to win that one. They look competitive. Since then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 defeats by 2 goals or more. That's an abomination. An absolute abomination. I better go to break. I'll see you after this.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at Marines.com.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Right, welcome back. So, I was thinking earlier about what this summer is going to look like. And really and truly, it might be one of the biggest shakeups in the history of the Premier League in terms of managerial changes. So, we know Liverpool are changing manager at the end of the season. Jurgen Klopp is leaving. City will still have Pep. Arsenal will still have Arteta, and no Rio Ferdinand. He would not leave Arsenal for United. Arsenal is not some sort of proving ground for Manchester United. That is not the case. And just because Robin van Persie did it years ago doesn't mean anyone else is that disloyal. Unai Emery will be staying with Villa. Postecoglou will be staying with Spurs. But Ten Hag might well be on his way out the door at United. Then there's a group of 3 clubs that could all change managers. West Ham, David Moyes might leave. He might not be given a new contract. He claims he's been offered one. There's been nothing from the club, and there's been a lot of buzz that he might not be the man to lead them forward. Newcastle might well decide to move on from Eddie Howe. Brighton might lose De Zerbi because United or Barcelona or Bayern Munich or Newcastle might come in with a big offer for Roberto De Zerbi. Chelsea might change managers because it hasn't gone all that well under Pochettino. Now, Gary O'Neill will stay at Wolves. I think Marco Silva stays at Fulham. Iraola will stay at Bournemouth. Palace have made their change. Thomas Frank could leave, but it will be if another club comes in. And again, West Ham, Newcastle, I could see both of them having interest in Thomas Frank. though I think they will try and aim a bit higher, or what's perceived to be a bit higher, at Graham Potter and Eddie Howe for West Ham if he were to become available. Everton, it's possible that Dyche moves on. If they go down, it's irrelevant. Forest have made their change. I would assume Nuno is there next year, regardless. And the bottom three, and two of them are going to keep the managers they have. And Sheffield United will not be in the Premier League next year, so it's not really relevant. So that looks like a lot of change. It's 6 clubs who I could very easily see being in the Premier League next year with new managers. Liverpool, Manchester United, West Ham, Newcastle, Brighton and Chelsea. I'm only listing them that way because that's the list that they're in terms of the table. I understand Chelsea are one of the biggest clubs in the country, but they're currently the lowest of these teams in the league. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, well, what new managers and what would they make of the current squads that are at each of these clubs? So for Liverpool, there's 2 managers that they appear to have zeroed in on, and they'll make their choice between them. One is Xabi Alonso, the other is Ruben Amorim. I would prefer Amorim. I'm happy with Alonso. Either way, I think Liverpool's squad is well set up for them. But there's definitely going to be a couple of players that would move on, and maybe a couple that should be moved on for one reason or another. So let's look at Liverpool's senior squad. Alisson Becker will stay. Gomez will stay. Endo will stay. Van Dijk will stay. Konate will stay. Alcantara is out of contract. He will leave. I would sell Luis Diaz. My guess is that he actually will leave. I think there will be a sizable offer for him. And I think he will go this summer. Szoboszlai will stay. Nunes will stay. McAllister will stay. There will be a lot of speculation about Salah. My guess is he stays. I think Adrian will extend for another year. I think Curtis Jones will stay. I think Cody Gakpo will stay. Personally, I would look to sell. Harvey Elliott will stay. Jota will stay. One of Tsimikas or Robertson likely has to go. And personally, I would sell Robertson. He's older. He'll bring a bigger fee. He's on higher wages. Liverpool need a new left back / left wing back anyway. And I think Tsimikas would be easier staying in that backup role than Robertson would be transitioning into that backup role. So I would be looking to sell Robertson. Matip is out of contract. I think he will go. Personally, I would sell Ryan Gravenberch. I don't see how he fits for either Alonso or Amorim. He doesn't work hard enough in the midfield. He doesn't do well in the midfield too. Besetic will stay, potentially get loaned, but he'll be belonging to the club, as will Ben Doak. I think Queven Kelleher is playing himself into a move, so I think he'll be gone. Alexander-Arnold, I think will stay, but you just don't know. He's got a year left in his contract after this one. It's possible. It's possible that an offer comes in and he wants to take it and he wants to go. We'll see. Quansah and Bradley will be there. And then of the players on loan, Ramsey will be kept. I think Carvalho will be sold. Pitaluga will be kept. Reece Williams will be sold. Nat Phillips will be sold. My hope is they keep Sepp Vandenberg. And then you've got Tyler Morton on loan, and he might just get another loan. So that seems like a lot of players going, but it's not a lot of contributing players. And like I said, I think Gakpo will stay. I think Gravenberch will probably stay, but I think he might stay 1 year and then be gone. I think Diaz goes, Alcantara goes, Matip goes, and Kelleher goes, ultimately. And then I think one of the left-backs will go. But my guess would be it would be more likely to be Costas than Robbo. So not a huge amount of surgery needed for Liverpool. Really and truly, they need 3 new players and they'll need a backup goalkeeper. So 4 signings. That's not a huge amount. Manchester United, I mean, this is just... Binder, you'd keep him. Lindelof, I would keep. Amrabat send back. You'd want to sell Maguire. They'll keep Martinez. They'll keep Mount. They'll keep Fernandes. Although if a big offer were to come in from Saudi Arabia, I'd be inclined to tell him to go, personally. Martial will leave. Rashford will stay. Højlund will stay. I assume Malacia stays. I think Ericsson might go. Diallo will stay. Garnacho will stay. I think they will look to sell Casemiro. I think Varane will leave. Delot will stay. I think they should look to sell Anthony if they can. I just don't know if there'll be any good offers out there. Tom Heaton is worth keeping around as a backup, the third or fourth choice keeper. Luke Shaw will stay. Onana, unfortunately for them, will stay. Wan-Bissaka, I would guess, stays. Johnny Evans, I probably actually would re-sign Johnny Evans for the year, just to have some experience in that defensive group. And he's, like an extra coach in the dressing room. Kobe Manu will stay. McTominay, I think, has probably played himself into another season. Shola Shortire doesn't seem to be getting many opportunities. Probably time for him to move on, although he's still very young. He's only 20. Maybe a loan move. Maybe a loan move. He did well on loan at Bolton last year. Kambwala will stay and Forson will stay. Of the guys on loan, I think you'd be looking to sell Sancho. Palestri, I think, can have value in the squad. Brandon Williams, I'd keep him because he can play both sides and they're short at fullback. Donny van de Beek, sell. Mason Greenwood, get rid of him whatever way possible. Hannibal Mejbri, I think it's a loan with an option to buy, isn't it? Yeah, an option to buy. Personally, I'd rather keep him because I know he's limited, but he does work hard and he cares. Dan Gore, probably another loan. And Alvaro Caceres is the left back. Personally, I'd be looking to keep, but foolishly, United got rid of him with an option to buy for 6 million. So I assume Benfica will take that up. Yeah, not great. A lot of work to do at United. A lot of work to do at United this summer. Like, they need 2 new centre-backs, a new holding midfielder. You need a depth option up front. You probably need another depth option in midfield. And you've got to find a new manager. And my guess is, if it's not Ten Hag, I think they'll go Nagelsmann. Because it feels like the type of thing United would do. Moving on to West Ham. Like I said, if Eddie Howe gets the heave-ho at Newcastle, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up at West Ham. Fabianski, you'd move on. Johnson, you'd keep. Cresswell, you'd move on. Kurt Zouma, personally, I would look to sell. He looks really slow at the moment. Soufal, you keep for depth, maybe. But if you get an offer, you let him go. Ward-Prowse will be kept, though he offers very little. Antonio, as a squad player, he's fine. I think Paqueta will go, but not because they want him to, but because they'll get a big offer. Calvin Phillips, I don't think they'll keep. Mohamed Kudus will stay, barring a huge offer. Mavropanos will stay. Cornet could go. Ings could go. Alvarez will stay. Bowen will stay. Ogbonna, if he's willing to stay as just depth, is fine. Areola you keep. Agard you definitely keep. Soucek you keep. Palmieri you keep. Mbuma you keep. And Anang you keep. I think they need a starting left back, a starting right back. I would go Mavropanos and Agard in defence. I'd be looking to buy at least one depth centre-back, someone with pace, a backup goalkeeper, one in midfield, and one up front, whether it's a starter or a depth piece. But like, if Paqueta was willing to stay another year, you should be going into the season with Bowen, Paqueta, and Kudus behind a striker, not Ward-Prowse. Quite a bit for West Ham to do. Newcastle, I'd keep Dubravka. I'd probably try and move on from Trippier at this point. You definitely want to move on from Dummett. You keep Botman, you keep Schär. You move on from Lascelles. Joelinton's an interesting one. He's out of contract. I assume he's going to leave because there's been no movement so far on a contract. You keep Tonali, you keep Wilson, you keep Gordon, you move Ritchie on, you move Target on. You keep Isak, you keep Barnes. I keep Kraft because he's crafty and a veteran. I keep Karius as third choice. I keep Lewis Hall. I keep Livermento. I keep Pope. I keep Murphy. I'd probably look to move Almiron on. I'd keep Willock, keep Elliot Anderson, keep Dan Byrne, Mark Gillespie can go. Keep Longstaff. Ideally, keep Gamerish, keep Joe White, keep Lewis Miley. Let Frazier, Hayden, Hendrick, and Lewis, let all of them go. Bring back Minta, bring back Cool, bring back Ashby. You're set at fullback. Livermento and Ashby are on the right. Hall and Byrne on the left. You've got Botman as a starter. You need a partner for him. You've got Shah as a backup. You need another backup. So 2 in defense. Goalkeepers are set. I'd want a dynamic midfielder. The rest of the midfield group I'm happy with. And I'd want one more wide attacker. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I have a feeling they might look to go for Graham Potter this summer. I think he might be the choice for them. Or potentially Thomas Tuchel. Keep an eye on Tuchel to Newcastle. Brighton. Keep Verbruggen, you keep Lamptey, you keep Julio, you sell Webster. You keep Dunk, but you keep him as a squad player, not a starter. You release Milner, keep March, keep Jeb Pedro, keep Enciso, keep Billy Gilmore, keep Pascal Gross unless he asks to leave. Release Lallana, keep Moder. You're stuck with Welbeck because you signed him to a new deal. You keep Barco, you keep Baliba, you keep Matoma, you send Jason Steele as far away from your football club as is humanly possible. You keep Adingra, keep Ferguson, keep Van Heck. I would imagine a Stupinan goes because I think he'll get offers, but if you could keep him, great. Ansu Fati, I'd just be letting go back to Barca. It just really hasn't worked. Keep Veltman, keep McGill, keep Buonanotte, keep Hinchelwood. Sell Dahoud, keep Sherpin, keep Alzate. Sarmiento you could probably sell. Undav you can sell. Ayari's worth loaning again. Rushworth I don't know. Kozlowski I'd try and bring into the squad. Masulu, the Romanian midfielder, is he ready to come in? He's only 18. Probably needs another year on loan. Abdullah Sima, I'd like to see them give an opportunity to. He's 22 now. They've owned him since 2021. He's had 3 loans. He's been good for Rangers this year. Probably look to bring him into the mix. They don't have a whole lot to do. Well, they kind of do. They've got a really good goalkeeper in Verbruggen. Assuming Estupinan stays, they've got a great left back. You need 2 centre-backs. You need 2 of them. Then you've got Dunk, Van Hecke, and Igor Julio as your backups. You need a right back. You've got Veltman and Lamptey then as backups. Lamptey can also cover at left back. Barco can cover at left back. Solly March can cover at left back. You want one more in midfield. You've got Baliba, who I think is going to be really good. You've got Solly March. You've got Pascal Gross. You need one more in midfield, a starting quality midfielder. Your attack is set. You've also got the young Usman kid coming in the summer. So you've got Buonanotte, March, and Barco for the right. You've got Enciso, Gross, João Pedro for the 10. And you've got Matoma, Adingra, and the new kid for the left. And then you've got Ferguson, João Pedro, and Welbeck up front. You don't need to do anything in attack. 1 in midfield, 3 in defence. 4 players. 4 players. But the big thing for them will be who's the next manager if De Zerbi goes. I wonder what they'll look to do here. Because I think there's a couple of managers that they will have been eyeing. I just don't know if they'd be able to go and get them. Now, the guy I think could potentially be their target, who I think would be on the list for a number of clubs this season if he hadn't made the decision to go and manage in Saudi Arabia, is Matthias Jasli, who was at Hoffenheim as a player, retired at 26 due to injury, went into the Red Bull system, was doing really well with Red Bull Salzburg. And then, for whatever reason, at the age of 34, decided he wanted to go and manage in the Saudi Pro League. And he went to Al Ahly. Now, it hasn't gone perfectly. Last season, they finished, this ongoing season, they're third. That's not what he was brought in to do, especially with the amount of money that they paid for a lot of players. I have a feeling if you made an offer, you could probably get him. And if I'm them, I do think that's something I consider, is going and getting him. The other one that struck me as someone that might have made sense there, but he's kind of lost his luster ever so slightly, is Bo Svensson, who was at Mainz, but they had a disastrous start to the season and he left. Brighton will have a long list, but I think 4 players sorts them. Chelsea. I would sell Sanchez, keep Disasi, sell Cucurella, keep Badiashile, release Silva, keep Sterling. This is my hot take. I'd sell Enzo Fernandez. I've said it before, I don't think Caicedo and Enzo works. I think you've got to move one of them on. I think Enzo's the easier one to move on and get your money back. I would keep Mudryk. I'd keep Madeki. I'd keep Bettinelli for squad purposes. I'd keep Chalobah. I'd keep Jackson. I would keep Ugachukwu, keep Carney Chukwuemeka, keep Nkunku, keep Cole Palmer. Personally, I'd look to sell Ben Chilwell because I don't like his attitude, but I just don't think there'll be a market for him. I would sell Conor Gallagher personally because he doesn't fit how I'd want to play, but we don't know who the manager will be there. I would also look to sell Reece James if I could because it can't be relied on, but he'll be staying. I'm just saying, with a player that injury prone, I'd be looking to cash in. Keep Caicedo, keep Colwill, keep Gusto, keep Petrovic, loan Caicedo, keep Fofana, loan Washington, keep Lavia, and sell Malang Sarr, sell Kepa, loan Slanina, bring back Maatsen. Ideally, I'd love to bring back Lewis Hall as well, but you don't have the option. Loan Andre Santos, loan Harvey Vale, release Hakim Ziyech, sell Brohia, loan Fofana, loan Gabriel, sell Lukaku. So, you need a goalkeeper. You've got a back four that could be Reece James, Fofana, Colwill, and Chilwell. Now, the right side of that is injury prone. The left back is also injury prone. That in itself is problematic. So what I would look to do is buy a centre back and have Fofana, Badiashile, and Disasi as depth. Is it overkill? Yeah, probably. But I can't have 3 of my back 4 be injury prone. Now, when I've got Gusto and Maatsen as the backup fullbacks, I know I'm in good shape. So I need a starter next to Levi Colwill. I would look to buy a partner for Moises Caicedo. Someone that complements him, plays a bit more advanced, and is actually going to work with him rather than the Enzo thing, which just doesn't work at all. Someone in the mold of Alexis McAllister is what you're really looking for here. Nkunku is your 10. Chukwuemeka is the backup. Palmer is your right winger. Mudeki is the backup. Sterling is the left winger. Mudryk is the backup. You need Sterling there for goals. And then you need to buy a striker. So I'm looking to buy 4 players. And I know it's a lot, especially with Chelsea, given how many players they've bought. But I don't think they own the right partner for Caicedo. I can't go into the season with 3 at the back 4 injury prone. Definitely need a new goalkeeper. Definitely need a striker. Question is who? and how much can I spend? I think it's going to be a difficult summer for them. I also don't think they'll be brave enough to make some of the decisions that need to be made. I just don't. I think they're too poorly run. I think they're too reactive. And frankly, as I've said many times, I think Todd Bowley is a bit of a buffoon. I'll leave it there. I'll be back after this break. Right, welcome back. So we're just going to wrap up with the gossip. We have 3 days worth to catch up on. So, Arsenal and Italy midfielder Jorginho is attracting interest from Juventus, Lazio and Napoli as he enters the final few months of his contract. Dan Ashworth, Manchester United's incoming sporting director, has met with Graham Potter as pressure grows. Graham Potter at United, I think he'd get eaten alive. But would make sense. Him and Ashworth know each other very well. They work together at Brighton. They have a good relationship. So it's very possible. That might potentially open up Nagelsmann for the Chelsea job. Howe goes to West Ham. Tuchel goes to Newcastle. Liverpool get Amorim. Alonso goes to Bayern. Everybody's happy. Liverpool will target Roberto De Zerbi. I don't think they will. Burnley are expected to keep Vincent Kompany as manager, even if they are relegated. I think everybody's been understanding of that for a while. Barcelona have approached Roberto Martinez about succeeding Xavi at the end of the season. Now, of course, there's a couple of things to consider here. Number one, Roberto Martinez has an amazing ability to fail up. Number two, this is an exclusive from Steve Kay. So how Steve Kay could possibly know what Barcelona are doing, only Steve Kay can dream up. Utter drivel. Aston Villa may have to sell players to avoid breaching profit and sustainability rules, with Newcastle interested in Jacob Ramsey and Arsenal keen on Douglas Luiz. If Arsenal are willing to give you 80 million for Douglas Luiz, snap it up. Snap it up. Chelsea, West Ham, Juventus, AC Milan, Nice and Lyon are all interested in Ghent's 21-year-old English left-back, Archie Brown. Now, Archie Brown was in the academy at Derby, but then when Derby had all their issues, he moved on, went to Lausanne in Switzerland, who are obviously owned by Ineos, and moved to Ghent last summer. By all accounts, he's quite good. I can't claim to have seen anything of him myself. AC Milan are monitoring Aaron Ramsdale as a potential replacement for Mike Maignan. Maignan has been clear he wants to stay. I'm not sure who's out there. Maybe Chelsea, who'd be looking to buy. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but he'll be expensive. Now, the story is from Ekrem Konar, who's not a real person, so, probably utter garbage. Zinedine Zidane has no interest in managing in England, so he is highly unlikely to accept any offer from Manchester United should they opt to replace Ten Hag. Now, I would agree that he's highly unlikely to accept an offer from United. However, Pete Hull in inews.co.uk would not know one way or another whether Zidane is interested in managing in England. And I do also know that Zidane has reached out to another Premier League club through intermediaries to let them know he might be interested in managing them. So, Liverpool are confident Andy Robertson will stay at the club beyond this summer. Liverpool will only sell if they want to. Pete O'Rourke wouldn't know either way, though. Fulham, Everton and Southampton are keeping tabs on Callum O'Hare. He's a good player. Good enough for the Premier League without question. Scouts from Tottenham and Borussia Dortmund have been watching Cercle Bruges and Togo striker Kevin Denke. Okay. Aston Villa are considering making Clement Lenglet's deal permanent. They shouldn't. Chelsea are set to recruit specialist set-piece coaches, despite Maurizio Pochettino dismissing the idea only a month ago. Okay. Jamal Musiala has rejected a new deal at Bayern as he targets a summer move to the Premier League, with Manchester City and Liverpool leading the race for the 21-year-old. If Salah goes, I think he's the top target. Thomas Tuchel is likely to be sacked if Bayern lose to Lazio on Tuesday. Makes sense. They should go. They should move on from him now. Everybody knows he's leaving. It can't get it can't get worse. So you might as well just go and bring in Hansi Flick till the end of the season or something. Manchester United manager Eric Ten Hag is keeping tabs on Girona's left back Miguel Gutierrez. He's a good player. He would improve them. Liverpool have stepped up their interest in Ruben Amorim. Barcelona's hopes of appointing Roberto De Zerbi have been complicated by the Seagulls' refusal to negotiate on his 12.8 million release clause. Nor should they negotiate. Barcelona have held talks with Hansi Flick. I think Hansi Flick is a bad fit at Barca. I think his style of play would end the careers of Gavi and Pedri, who've already suffered injuries. Paris Saint-Germain forward Kylian Mbappe has met Luis Enrique to address tension stemming from the Spanish manager substituting the 25-year-old in recent games. Luis Enrique should understand that Kylian Mbappe is his boss and act accordingly. Fulham, Everton, West Ham and Wolves are monitoring Wilfried Zaha. Manchester United and Arsenal are competing to sign Fiorentina and Italy under-21 fullback Michael Kouyaté. He does look really good. Been very, very impressed with what I've seen of him. He's a right back. Looks good going forward. He's comfortable in the ball and he looks really strong defensively as well. So, fair. Barcelona will prioritise selling Rafinha and Jules Koundé this summer. Brentford are preparing a move for Josh Sargent as they prepare for life after Ivan Toney. They've already signed their replacement for Ivan Toney, so I don't think so. Arsenal are considering moves for Rafinha and Ferran Torres of Barcelona. Ferran Torres, I could see he's worked under Arteta, didn't he, briefly? Were they not at City together? Maybe they weren't. Maybe Torres actually arrived after Arteta left. Let me see. He arrived in the August, and Mikel Arteta, I think, left Arsenal in the December. Arsenal. No, I'm wrong. Mikel Arteta left the previous year. So no, they didn't cross over. But Ferran Torres has the Pep Guardiola seal of approval, so that's good enough for Arteta. Liverpool are set to open talks with Andy Robertson over a new deal. I don't think they will. I think the era of handing out contracts to players who are declining is over at Liverpool. So, again, it's Football Insider, so definitely shite. Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund are monitoring AC Milan's Italian forward Francesco Camarda, who is set to turn down the offer of a professional contract at Milan when he turns 16. Who's advising these kids? Chelsea are willing to pay Brighton a six-figure sum of compensation for Sam Jewell. Right. Arsenal have made Victor Gyökeres a transfer priority. Can't afford him. Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, father says he will stay at Napoli this summer despite being linked with Real Madrid and Barcelona. We'll see. He possibly will, but I wouldn't put my mortgage on it personally. France midfielder Adrien Rabiot is set to prioritise contract talks with Juventus over a potential move away. Liverpool hope to make more than 10 million from the Fly on the Wall documentary covering Jurgen Klopp's farewell season. Arsenal are set to rival United for Miguel Gutierrez. He'd fit well at Arsenal, to be fair. And former West Ham boss Slaven Bilic is not in contention for the Irish job despite being linked with the role. That's odd, because a couple of other journalists said that he was, but you never know. I don't know. They've made a mess of the whole thing anyway. Right, folks, that'll do. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's might be brief, but I'll be here tomorrow. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Social Podcast Network.
We are actuaries. In a world filled with unpredictability, we use our math skills to navigate uncertainty. Actuaries make a difference in people's lives across industries and the world. Actuaries have the freedom to work anywhere, and according to U.S. News & World Report, we're the 25th top-paying career. Make an impact as a fact seeker and a truth teller. Use your math skills for good as an actuary. The world needs you.